So for June it's not normal weather at all. We've got this storm Alex at the moment, which is bringing in really high winds, mixed with humidity and the occasional shower. But it's not doing these plants any good in garden. It's blowing lots of them over. So once again, another challenge in a new season that we've got to cope with. And I think one of the best things that I can do at this point is I keep up with this succession growing. Sow some fresh batches of certain plants, just in case things like this start battering everything in garden. It's already battering up potatoes in container garden, as well as knocking over a few Brussels plants as well, which is certainly not normal, not at this time of year in UK. So today I think I'm going to resow some more batches of spring onions, because you can grow those all through the year. They're cold tolerant, they'll grow in pretty much any type of soil, and they're very low maintenance. So we've got a batch in ground already, so I'm going to sow a fresh batch today, and we'll get them growing into little plugs again, up to 10 seeds per cell, and we'll let those grow into a little plug, and then we can plant them straight outside, because that's at least one thing that most weather doesn't really bother. And I'll be doing some white Lisbons. So I'm going to plant my onions in these cells. Just over 40 plugs of onions, which is plenty, because we can keep that succession growing through the year, so that regardless of what happens with weather, we're always going to have something to fall back on. So let's start again. So we fill that up with some good compost, then we'll just compact it down, because we want these plugs to be nice and firm when we take them out. We don't want them falling apart with them having bunches of onions in them. So make sure it's nice and compact. You can hear that wind in the background. It's been never ending for the last few weeks. Now we'll top this back off again and water it in. So having done that, I'm just going to make a bit of a recess in these cells, because I want all these seeds to be rolling together, not spreading out. I want a nice tight clump of onions when they're growing, and I'm not doing it very deep because I want these onions to come up as soon as possible. At least we can offer some extra protection from this weather by leaving them in this greenhouse till they've germinated. So same way I always do spring onions, I just drop in anywhere between 7 and 10 seeds. In each cell. Because even if some don't germinate, you've got plenty in there that will. I am going to very lightly cover these over this time, because in June we want things to germinate and break the surface of this compost as quick as possible to get things growing before the end of the season. So colander works for me. So I had a very light covering, and now we'll just smooth it over, make sure everything's covered up properly. Then we'll get these watered in. And as I said earlier, they're staying in greenhouse at the moment, because they keep saying that the winds are going to recede again. But while at the same time there's threats of thunderstorms. So you don't want these outside, because if you get any really heavy downpours, it could just literally bounce all the seeds out of these packs. So we'll leave them in here until we see some signs of germination. So they're all done. And because we're putting them in these really small cells, they're not taking no space up. And there is potentially 49 bunches of onions in there, which is going to see us best part of the way through season for all the salads. But I'll just show you the sort of thing that's going off in garden at the moment. It's things like this that are happening that are really annoying. These are those Brussels plants, and they're not even tall yet the wind's knocked 3 of the 6 over. So now we're going to have to try and put a bit of support in there, and hopefully they're not damaged too much. and we've had to wire some cages around these potato plants because the wind was trying to knock them over. As you can see, there's a bit of damage to leaves, but at least for now that cage is going to try and keep them upright. And this potato plant that we were trying to save has again took another beating. So I think this plant is pretty much done now. You can see the extent of the damage that this very unseasonal weather is now causing in garden. As always, the first victims are your severe winds, are your potato plants. Your sweet corn won't be tall enough at the moment to have any effect on it, but your second early potatoes, more than anything, will have some good height to them. And every single year around this area, some kind of wind comes and knocks them over, which then affects your harvest. But this is the first time I've ever seen this happening, coming into mid-June. So you've always got to prepare for any situation, and every single year will not be the same. And you saw those Brussels plants. If they're full-size varieties, I would at some point offer them some support, but these are called early half tall, which is what it says on the packet. They only grow half as tall as a Brussels plant, and yet at the moment they're only 10 to 12 inches tall, and this wind's knocked them flat to the ground. So already I've got to think about supporting these plants, because we never know when this weather is going to come back again. So as I'm doing at the moment, I'm going to concentrate for the next few days on making backups of these plants that's in garden, although for a lot of things it's way too late to start thinking about planting them outside as seedlings. But if we've got some things in containers and we can move them around garden to offer them some protection, then that is one way it will help, if you're expecting it. Anyway, thanks for watching this video, and I hope your plants are all okay wherever in the world that you are. And if you want to see how these pan out over the next few months, just hit that subscribe button, press that notifications bell, and I'll see you at the next video. You all take care, have a nice weekend. Thank you.